Imagine this. You wake up one morning and the silence feels heavier than usual. No unread messages, no calls to return, just you, your thoughts, and the vast emptiness of the day ahead. You step outside, a crowded street, a cafe filled with laughter, a couple whispering to each other at the corner. Yet, despite the noise, you feel invisible, disconnected, alone. But here's the paradox. Loneliness isn't just the absence of people. Some of the loneliest moments happen in a room, full of friends, at a family dinner, or lying next to someone who no longer truly sees you. And sometimes, solitude can feel more fulfilling than any conversation. So what is loneliness, really? Is it a curse, a slow erosion of the soul? Or is it something else entirely? A hidden force that, if understood, could change everything? Because what if loneliness isn't just suffering, but power? Loneliness is often painted as a disease, something to be cured, escaped, or drowned out with distractions. Society treats it as a personal failing. If you're lonely, it must mean you're unwanted, socially inept, or somehow incomplete. But this assumption is not just wrong, it's dangerous. Carl Jung believed that loneliness does not stem from a lack of people, but from the inability to express the deepest parts of oneself. True isolation begins when you realize that no one around you truly understands the storm inside your mind. Jean-Paul Sartre took it further, suggesting that even in the presence of others, we remain fundamentally alone, trapped within our own consciousness, forever separated by the limits of language and perception. But here's the real problem. Modern society has made loneliness unbearable. We are overstimulated, yet emotionally starved, trapped in a paradox where constant digital connection leaves us more isolated than ever. In a world that values busyness over depth, silence over truth, and entertainment over meaning, we have forgotten how to be alone with ourselves. And the consequences of this forgetting, they run deeper than we dare to admit. Loneliness does not just linger in the background. It shapes you in ways you don't even realize. It changes how you think, how you see yourself, and even how your brain functions. Neuroscientists have found that prolonged loneliness triggers the same pain receptors as physical injury. Your mind treats isolation as a wound, an existential threat. But here's the most dangerous part. Loneliness distorts your perception of reality. Studies show that when people feel lonely, they become more suspicious, more defensive. They misinterpret neutral expressions as hostile, withdraw from others, and reinforce their own isolation. A self-perpetuating loop, one that can last for years. And what about society? Look around, a generation addicted to empty conversations, friendships maintained through emojis, relationships built on highlight reels instead of human connection. We drown out loneliness with distractions, scrolling, binge-watching, mindless consumption, never realizing that by avoiding solitude, we are surrendering to something far worse, a shallow existence. But what if this suffering hides a secret? What if the very thing you've been running from contains the key to something extraordinary? There is another side to loneliness, one that few ever dare to explore. What if loneliness isn't your enemy, but your greatest teacher? Friedrich Nietzsche once said, "The individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe." Loneliness, when embraced, is not a void, it is a forge. A space where the false layers of identity burn away, leaving only what is real. The greatest minds in history, Buddha, Nietzsche, Jung, Dostoevsky, understood something society wants you to forget. Solitude is not suffering. It is transformation. Think about it. The most profound realizations in life never come in the middle of a crowded room. They emerge in the quiet, in the stillness, in the moments when there is nowhere left to run. When you finally sit with your loneliness, when you stop fearing it, something strange happens. You begin to hear yourself, but this is where rebellion begins. to use loneliness instead of being consumed by it, to step away from the noise, not out of despair, but out of defiance, to reclaim your mind, your thoughts, your very existence, because beyond the fear of being alone, something extraordinary is waiting. And once you see it, you can never go back. Here is the truth no one tells you. Loneliness is not a curse, it is a doorway. A path that, if walked with courage, leads to something few ever find: self-possession. When you stop fearing solitude, when you stop filling the silence with noise, you realize something profound. You were never truly alone. Beneath the layers of societal conditioning, beyond the distractions and empty conversations, there is a version of you that has been waiting. The part of you that does not crave validation. The part that does not need to be understood. The part that simply is. Arthur Schopenhauer believed that the more intelligent and self-sufficient a person is, the more they will seek solitude, not as an escape, but as a return to authenticity, a return to clarity, a return to power, because the ones who learn to stand alone are the ones who cannot be controlled. They do not fear the silence, they own it. They do not need the crowd, they transcend it. And in that moment, loneliness is no longer loneliness, it is freedom.